Hello, everyone, my dear viewers, and thank you for coming to my channel. And before you start the video, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I will be very pleased, so let's go. It was 4386. People all over the Huaxia were cultivating and enjoying the convenience that technology brought. Everything was peaceful until the city was attacked by a level 5 giant frog. A magic squad was sent to subdue the monster, and a small boy was seen eating noodles at the scene. That black-haired, red-eyed boy was so consumed with his food that he didn't notice. He's about to be crushed by a giant frog, but a member of Joey's magic squad takes him to safety. Years later, Joey is now extolled by the hero who saved the city and who defeated the giant frog alone. And this is the first day of the new school year for Spellcaster College number 60. The school includes a single black-haired and red-eyed freshman. When two high school kids approached him, they recognized him because he was the one who got into college with 5 points. They smile and promise to take good care of him. And the indifferent freshman quietly thanks them. But they start harassing him out of his protection money. Suddenly, a golden ray hits the ground in front of the high school kids, sends them both on a flight. From the rooftop, a smiling girl rebukes the boys for bullying someone with lower scores, while other stunned students call her the famous daughter of the flower, fruit Watervale Sun Clan. To the screams of other students, Junyun's son gracefully lands in front of a freshman. The girl whimsically smiles and promises to give the freshman his protection. And he briefly gives her money as a thank you before he leaves. Zunsuni and the other students watching the scene are completely stunned by the behavior of a strange boy. Since this is the first day of school, freshmen must pass a test to determine which class they will be in. Students with excellent grades will belong to the elite class. During the test, the students will face the embodiment of the spiritual power of the giant frog. They are instructed to beat him on the head with all their strength. The giant frog is actually sealed inside the incarnation, and without anyone knowing, this cheeky frog has been absorbing bits of spiritual power every time she's been hit. He'll have enough strength to break the seal. Of the many students who have tried to hit a frog, the most impressive is the proud and graceful Sun Juniper. The force that equals 2019 points. Everyone was impressed. Blessed with beauty, money, and power, she is not at all like that freshman who was bullied before. The one who has a negligible force of 5 points. His name is Wang Ling, and now it is his turn to take the test. It is clear that the students around them are not happy, having seen how such a loser as he goes after an impressive performance, Junyun's son. But the frog has a completely different reaction. Wait, why do I hear the boss's music? The frog asks. When the Wang Ling gets close, the boss's music is so epic, it brings the frog back while it wreaks havoc. Turns out the cheeky Joey wasn't so tough. He was actually beaten by that monster. But just before the frog could defeat him, the little boy destroyed the frog. While playing his own background music, this child is none other than Wang Ling, and he hates being disturbed while eating and crunching noodles. Learning the boss's music, the frog begins to panic, knowing full well that if the Wang Ling hits him, his soul and spirit will be erased. Meanwhile, Wang Ling thinks to himself that he should keep his spiritual strength to a minimum and pretend he's trying really hard. And so, with his battle key, Wang Ling inexplicably runs up to the frog, but before he could hit it, something strange happens. The screen of his performance is turned off, and when the broadcast comes back, the giant frog is on its back. Everyone is shocked by this, and the power calculator starts to work with an overload, showing off a bunch of 9s in his account. But they are not the only ones shocked by this turn of events. Van Lai himself finds it strange because he did not hit the frog at all. The administration of the exam breaks into the audience, distraught at what happened in his frog. That's what he calls the evil demon of the Frog King. Mourning his apparent demise, Wang Ling quickly assesses the situation and concludes that the frog is merely pretending to be dead. Her remaining spiritual power turned into a spiritual body and left this place. Having gathered his thoughts, the exam administrator stands up and strictly assigns Wang Ling an elite class. Now this is the first lesson for the elite class. Their teacher mentions that the strength of the summoned spiritual body is proportional to their power level. The class creates all sorts of things, from magic wands to anime figurines. Jun-sun, being on a different level among others, evokes the spiritual body of the dog. When the other disciples praised their goddess for summoning the demon beast, the sun's son shunned and smiled, answering that it could not cause anything so strong. But underneath, she's furious, and she's asking herself how much power it takes to summon these demonic bodies. As for the Wang Ling, he has not yet summoned anything because he fears the king of beasts, whom he eventually summons. But since his teacher is waiting, he's just following through. Using a drop of his sweat, Wang Ling causes a giant frog, which complains that it has run into a powerful boy again. Some students panic and run out of class. Luckily, their teacher saves the day using the dog that caused the sleepy bug. She joined a giant frog and a dog through a talisman, forming a nice spiritual animal like a dog. Eventually, the students suck up to him and call him Froggy too, while Wang Ling exits the class. Time for some fun facts about the Wang Ling. Fun fact number 1. Wang Ling came out of his mother's stomach himself when he was born. He even started walking as soon as he came out of the womb. And it scared his dad so much that he passed out, but we can't blame him. Wang Ling has very loving parents who spoiled him with toys since childhood. Because of his high abilities, he can also hear people's thoughts. So from an early age, he already knew that people tended not to say someone who didn't really think. Ever since then, Wang Ling has always acted with restraint. But Wan Lai broke that pledge of normality when he defeated a frog at the age of 6. His parents saw it and immediately decided that he was better off being doubly restrained. His father searched the internet for ways to contain spiritual forces, so Wang Ling managed to contain the overwhelming amount of his spiritual energy before he went to primary school. He is also working on an amulet that will permanently reduce his spiritual power. On his 7th birthday, the Wang Ling almost burned down their house after blowing out the candles too hard. In another case, his powers forced his friends to fly away from him. For some reason, the snow even took off his clothes. As impressive as her boy was, his mother stressed that she just wanted him to live a normal life. Similarly, Wang Ling is no stranger to his parents' painstaking efforts over the past decade. He knows very well that they have sacrificed a lot to make sure that he can live normally and be a normal boy. So for the last 10 years, he's been taking special pills that reduce spiritual strength. He also decided never to exercise too much energy before a new and more effective amulet pill is ready. At the school, Junyun's son and their hot-headed Chensha classmate are running for class president. Wang Ling wants nothing to do with it because being president is the opposite of restraint. Walking around the school, he notices that there is a dry noodle on sale. As we've seen, the boy cares more about dry noodles than mass extinctions, so he sneaks through the students' crowd, hoping to grab a pack. At this point, a suspicious man pays for everything that sells in the store and tells the crowd that everything in the store is free for freshmen until he votes for Sun Yan. Who's to say the dirty work is done for a penny now? Chin Chow and his friend notice this and say getting votes is fraud. But the Shun's son appears, saying that she is simply demonstrating her ability. The ability to collect votes. Well, yes. As for the bath, he only cares about the dry noodles. So he says he will give Bite 5 votes for 5 packs of dry noodles. Jun's son then uses the art of seduction to convince students to vote for her. So now even her Chen Xiao rival is under her spell. The class does not discuss the ancient art of incarceration, including with a seduction spell that the Sun Jun did not use on students. Jun's son panics and fears that the teacher will see through her plans. The teacher explains that seduction uses a hand-sealed spell to project the spiritual powers of the user on others, turning them into fans of the user. In order for this spell to work, gifts must be given. While the teacher discusses it, Wang Ling realizes that he had previously made Jun's son. He recalls that he gave her a pill in exchange for dry noodles so that he could no longer be under her spell. He warns her that the dried noodles are delicious, but Juna misinterprets this and thinks he wants her to take the pill he gave her. So it is, to the horror of the Wang Ling. At the same time, the teacher tells them that the lack of spiritual power will put an end to the temptation before it works. As the tablets reduce spiritual strength, the Yan Sun charms on the students are quickly dispelled. The teacher then asks the Jin Sun to demonstrate the spells he discussed. But the Sun Juna is weak and slips on the jar and falls powerless. This causes Wang Ling to demonstrate the spell instead. Then class elections are held and Chen Chao wins. It looks like Jun Sun has not learned the lesson. The next day, the freshmen are studying to clean the tablets. Each student must bring his own oven to school. Chen Chao brings a big copper cauldron. He says his great-grandfather used the cauldron to clean the level 9 gold pills, so he probably wants the same results. As usual, the Sun Junam appears solemnly at school, but she's not quite herself. The first thing she does is approach the Wang Ling, who immediately notices the symbol of seduction on her top. I understand that the night before she was affected by his seduction spell. He quickly breaks the symbol and Wang Sun is released from the spell. During the lesson, the students are asked to prepare life force pills. Their teacher speeds up the demonstration and then invites the students to make pills. Jun Sun brought the refinery car of the family factory, and Wang Ling used a microwave oven. In the middle of the lesson, the Chen Chao cauldron explodes. He runs out of the room in tears, saying that his father will definitely scold him. The teacher notes that the improvement of the tablets does not require either enthusiasm or energy, but rather attention and patience. Indeed, Chen Chao was too enthusiastic about refining pills, and about everything, with too much energy. It takes about 7 hours to make the pills, so the teacher asks the class to leave the class and come back later. But without the class knowledge, a vile villain lurks in the shadows. And this villain Froji too. Now that the dog is alone in the room, she plans to eat one of the students' magic ovens. Fortunately, the Wang Ling stays just in time before the frogs too can swallow it. Eventually, he pursues it outside the room. Still distraught by the damage to his cauldron, the shell clerk recalls pleading with his father to let him bring their family cauldron to school. Meanwhile, Wang Ling washes the Gao Hoi oven he saved from a bad dog. Gao Hao sees that he is holding his oven and demands an explanation. Wang Ling explains that Froggy too put a Go Ha in his mouth, so he took it out and washed it. Meanwhile, the devil of reason had already consumed the minds of the Xiao Qin, which was due to his concern about his cauldron. As for the Go Ha, he tries to shoot the alley on his pent with a toxic potion for messing with his cauldron. Alas, the Chen Chao approaches them when the Gu Ha has fired, so he takes a punch and even drinks part of the potion. While the Go Ha panics, Wang Ling is completely careless about all this, and he is even going to heal the Chen Chao on his own. But the Gu Hao installs him and convinces him to help him make the antidote himself. Although he thinks the effects of greenery are not so bad, in the end, he is inferior to the overly dramatic Go Ha. While not boiling the potion, frogs too approach the oven to try to eat it. But this time, the Go Ha quickly hampers his efforts. But this leads them to learn that frog too can speed up the heating process. Wang Ling was surprised to learn about this, so two angry guys decided to use poor frog 2 to speed things up. In addition to their frog abilities, 2 are also used as guinea pigs. Maybe he should have let the Wang Ling destroy him after all. Soon after, their teacher and other classmates are heading to the room. Go Ha tries to stop them, but is unsuccessful. Fortunately, Wang Ling is fast enough to hide Chen Chao from view. The teacher examines the Go Ha and comes up with a gold tablet, which brings him a fairly high rating. The stunned Go Ha is almost ready to burst into tears, as it suggests that Wang Ling put the tablet he made in his oven. As for the Wang Ling, his furnace produced a burnt pill, for which he received from the teacher. This makes the Go Ha more emotional, as he believes that Wang Ling took the blame for him, so that he could get a higher rating, and therefore considers him a lifelong friend. But that's the thing, the Wang Ling didn't do anything. His microwave made a bad pill, and the gold pill the Go Ha made was in his oven while he was preparing the antidote. And since the frogs too manipulated the heating process, it also affected the Go Sha tablet. Eventually Chen Chao finally comes to his senses, and Go Ha tells him that he and Wang Ling found him lying on the ground from exhaustion. He then draws attention to the cauldron behind him, over which Chen Chao weeps in gratitude. Turning to the Van Lin, the crying guy embraces him passionately. But what the show don't know is that his repaired cauldron is all thanks to Frog 2, which remains ungrateful in all this. It's been a long, crazy day, full of mistakes and misunderstandings. But it is because of this misunderstanding that a beautiful friendship is now blossoming between these three guys and the Wednesday girl. My story is over, and if you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video.